Haley Reid and her Université de Montréal Carabins teammates are living a dream as official cheerleaders for the Montreal Alouettes.
It's really unexpected that we did get the opportunity to do this, and as a team coming from the University of Montreal, stepping out into a much larger scale, it's just excitement all around.
Well, the Carabins are surely qualified to be on this stage. Performing professionally is a big development. Until now, the Alouettes cheer team was an in-house program.
I think it's a loss of legacy, it's a loss of history.
And that history goes back generations. From the baton-tossing, military-style marching of the majorettes in the 1950s, through the larquettes in the 60s and 70s, to the jazzercise, knee-high socks-laden power ballads of the 1980s, I love the beat. Continuing through the calendar girls era of the 1990s and early 2000s, right up to modern day.
It's not just showing up for the games and shaking pom-poms. It's a lot bigger than that. There was always an in-house team, a professional in-house team, and now if you're not part of that university team, then you don't get to try out.
I wish I could raise my leg that high again now.
Oh, there we are dressed.
There's our uniforms. They were lovely.
The majorettes were the precursors to the cheerleading program. They started offering in-game entertainment for Alouettes games in 1954 with a team of only 8 women. By 1956 and through the rest of the decade and the early 1960s, the squad numbered around 30 people each year.
There were notices put in the schools. People showed up, and my recollection was there were well over 100.
Wow. Yeah.
So you first had to demonstrate that you could march, that you had some rhythm. That you could dance, because John Stansel, right in the very first thing. Oh, absolutely.
To find talent, they relied heavily on Montreal's English schools.
We were pre-Révolution tranquille, right?
Yes.
This whole thing is happening before that. And with that Révolution, one of the biggest things was the change in the education system. So for it to be what it was, and for us to be so Anglophone, was just the nature of what was happening at that particular time.
Leanne Mills was one of only 2 French speakers on the team in 1958. Making the Alouette squad was like getting called up to the big leagues.
Oh, I was just absolutely on cloud 9 because I lived far away. To get to those practices and the auditions, I had to take 3 different, a bus, a streetcar, and a bus to get there. But anyway, once I made it, I couldn't believe it. It was just like a dream come true.
Well, the majorettes do see themselves as part of the tradition of on-field Alouettes entertainment. They also see themselves as something apart from cheerleading. The most obvious difference between them, the baton.
And we didn't have pom-poms, or we didn't cheer, and we didn't cheer during the game. It was just strictly half-time show.
Well, it was very militaristic. We were totally covered up. From our chin to
here.
And the costumes that cheerleaders wear now, they're very provocative. I just feel we were a step higher level.
Right.
And whenever anybody says to me, "Oh, you were a cheerleader," and no, I wasn't.
That's right.
I wasn't. I was a majorette. We were a choreographed dancing group, and we spent lots of time learning our routines, and we had to integrate the baton, the dancing, the marching.
Yes.
We weren't pom-pom girls.
Yes. How dare you call me a cheerleader?
Well, it is true.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The majorettes became the larquettes in the 1960s.
That's who.
And at this point, they weren't only drawing from Anglo school programs. The squad started to reflect the linguistic makeup of Montreal. They were the toast of the town, appearing in campaigns like the promotion of Expo 67.
I want to show you the picture of me. It's nice.
By 1970, they'd perform with batons and do militaristic-style marching routines at the start of a match.
We had blues all over. Yeah. When you have a baton and you throw it, it hits everywhere.
And then they'd switch uniforms to something less militaristic and do jazz dance routines at halftime.
We're quite sexy, Douglas.
Yes?
That was Montego Bay.
Right.
Montego Bay. It was very very cool.
You're okay with that then? You're still okay with that now?
Sure. You know, you see those young girls dancing. Nothing wrong with that. You go like this and,
In 1973, the cheer program dropped the baton entirely, fully embracing the switch to pom-poms.
This is so big.
By the 1980s, the pom-poms were here to stay. Montreal wasn't immune to the wave of big hair, spandex, and the sporty style that defined the decade.
This one here. They put us in almost like a one piece. Do you remember that, Tracy? Mm-hmm. And we were criticized by the Gazette that the cheerleaders looked like they had Stanfield long johns on. So it was the first time that they were trying to change the outlook of cheerleaders from this very sexist sport to a very more modern sort of, it was in the days where it was a lot of jazz.
But the clothing wasn't the only big change in the 1980s. After a bankruptcy, the club had a new owner and a new name, the Concords.
Back then, when the 80s, being a cheerleader in Montreal was a big, big, big thing. Of course, there was no social media back then or anything, so they would advertise it in the paper relentlessly and on the radio. Like, it was almost like American Idol, and it was crazy.
I remember there being close to 1,000 people, and I remember going, they'll never choose me. And to get that phone call
it's pretty
was pretty... Because it means that even the work we did as kids, and and ballet and jazz and all of that, it kind of,
paid off.
Paid off. I remember when Michael Jackson was performing, and he came and gave us tickets. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You got to go to Michael Jackson?
Yeah,
1985.
It was
At the Big O.
He came to see us while we were practicing at the Olympic Stadium. And he had tickets, and he said, I really would like you to leave in about a half an hour, and I'm so sorry, but I have to practice for my show tonight. But
So he was kicking you off the field.
he kicked us off the field, and he gave us tickets.
Rubbing shoulders with Michael Jackson, the cheer program was going strong. But the football team's financial situation fell apart again.
It just is not enough to function with.
And the club folded in 1987.
These are the first ones.
Annie LaRouche was handed the keys to the Alouettes cheer program when they were reborn in 1996. She ran it for 25 years, longer than any person in any era.
Was it the pros of dance? I would say yes, because there weren't many opportunities back then to be a dancer professionally. So of course, I always called it a full-time hobby because everyone had another job.
By the mid-1990s, the image of the cheerleader had shifted from the sporty look of the 1980s, and a big revenue driver was calendar sales.
The girls were proud of it, and they were looking forward to this calendar every year. And eventually, autre temps, autre mœurs, society changed a bit, and we went with other. We stayed creative, but other themes without being in a bathing suit. And if the girls didn't want to do it, they didn't have to.
The calendar trend was started by the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders in the NFL. For the Alouettes, calendars helped them fund the cheerleading program, pay for other community initiatives, and raise the profile of the team. But at a certain point, the calendar itself went out of style. People stopped buying them altogether. In the 1990s, cheerleaders also started getting paid, but it wasn't much money.
Back then, the girls were paid $50 per game. And I remember the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders would also get $50 US a game, but still, it's a compensation, it's not a salary. So when I left, if I remember correctly, they were at around 125 and maybe 150 per game for the captains.
With 9 or 10 home games a year, that worked out to maybe $1,500 per season, and they weren't paid for practice. They would get compensation for commercial events, but not community events.
Everyone does it because it's their passion. They would probably do it to a certain extent for free. But let's keep in mind that they practice twice a week, 50 weeks a year. It's a huge commitment. So I don't know what the salaries are today, but they should be definitely be paid.
None of the teams prior to the 1990s were paid to perform.
The whole experience was such fun. We never thought we would get paid.
To us
I almost felt we should be paying them.
Thought we were lucky to be
It was
there.
such a different era.
We felt like stars there. And when it was all new, so we were willing to do this, not being paid. I wish we could have kept, though, our uniform.
Do you feel okay about it now that you didn't get paid for it? Is that like you still like?
No, actually, I'm not okay with it.
It doesn't bother me.
No, I think that's such an important question, and I think it took a long time for them to get there. You know, that should have changed. You know, it shouldn't have taken 40 years, right, to get to a small amount.
And to me, like I said, it wasn't really about the money. Yes, if I could have got a few bucks, that would have been great because I was working at the time, and I think I was going to college at the time at night school. So I was doing 3 things at once, trying to juggle everything. But when you're young, you can do all that.
The Université of Montréal Carabins team is getting paid now, but they declined to discuss how much. The Alouettes, for their part, also declined CBC's request to be interviewed for this story. Former dance team director Sydney Guinchereau says the old way of doing things, with open tryouts, meant the team could reflect all of Montreal.
We've always been open and we've always been there for the community. We've always been present.
For Annie LaRouche, it's a bit more nuanced.
A change is always, you know, a bit challenging, but not necessarily bad.
The Université of Montreal is a stunt team. Pyramids and flips and throwing people in the air. And stunt cheerleading is what is in right now. Montreal recently hosted a huge international competition. There are lots of local clubs. It's a sport in of itself. And LaRouche saw that trend coming. Before she left in 2021 to take on other roles in Montreal's sports scene, she hired a stunt squad to complement the dancers in the Alouettes' in-house program. But the stunt team was cut after she left, leaving only the dance team. And she wonders if she could have saved the in-house program.
Would things have been different if I would have stayed? Probably. And again, different doesn't mean bad, but it's different, and it's important to stay connected to the community.
As for the alumni, some also worry that something has been lost with this change. But still, they wish the new performers nothing but the best.
Give it your best, because we sure did.
Enjoy it, embrace it. One day you look back at it and you have a different perspective and wonderful memories.
Be proud of what you're doing. You will be thinking of this all your life.
Being part of a sisterhood is something that you look back on as you grow old, and you realize what an opportunity and what a joy it was to be part of that sisterhood.